Don't play with it, don't be dishonest. Ay, still not understand.
Alright, so going to North Carolina for the first time. It was a trip that I kind of I knew about for a while, but because so many things were always happening in my life, like whether it was school, or whether it was work, or just like dealing with stuff with my friends and everything, I feel like I knew about the trip, but I wasn't really prepared for what was coming. Like, even when it comes to clothes and just like trying to make plans with my friend for like what I'm gonna do there while I'm there, the whole week and everything. Like, I knew that I wanted to do like a lot of nature stuff, like stuff that I don't really get a chance to do here, like hikes and like walking through like woods and stuff like that, and really getting to like North Carolina for the first time. But I didn't exactly dress for the part. I kind of brought like a lot of like, I wouldn't say like New York clothes, but I brought a lot of like fancy outfits for like if we were going to like the club or something, or like a party or something. I didn't really bring any clothes for me to do hikes and like swimming and like, the stuff that I guess that he was expecting for me to bring on a trip like this. Like, I brought like a whole bunch of like press-on nails and makeup and stuff like that, and it was definitely an interesting time. I definitely learned about myself, and like I said, I think this retreat was something that was really needed that I didn't really even know until like I stepped off the plane and into his house for the first time. And he was a guy that I always knew growing up. My mom's friend. I think he sold like a lot of home decor stuff. And I would always like randomly see him on the train, like going to work or like going to school and stuff like that. And we talked on the train ride, but we never really hung out like that. And so this is like my first time really like getting to know him and hanging out with him for the first time. And so we stayed in his apartment. It was just him and I the first night. And then I met his goddaughter, and then I met like the daughter of one of his exes. So I got to meet like his friends from work. So I got to meet like a few different people while I was on this trip. And I feel like each one of them really shaped my personality for the first time, and like really helped me understand how was it that I was interacting with people, whether it was within a group, whether it was like kind of drifting myself away from the group, even like during walks and stuff that I didn't really notice until like everything was like kind of pointed out to me at once. Like even like drinking and like saying that I was gonna buy back the bottle, and then I get to the liquor store and I don't buy back the bottle. So it's a lot of that, and like saying things without really having any action behind it. And there is a lot of things that like not introducing me to people that I was staying with, to like the new person and stuff like that. And so there are a lot of social cues and just things in general that I wasn't aware of that I was doing at the time. And it's like when everything kind of like got pointed out to me at once, it was very overwhelming, and it was a very interesting. I was kind of thinking about it like deeply in a sense now that I was looking back, because a lot did happen on that night, and we'll definitely get into it. But it was a lot at once. We sort of like look at myself as a reflection in the mirror of like how I was as a person, and how I was treating people, how I was treating the people around me, who really like traveled from city just to like finally meet me in person, and the way that I treated them, and like the way that I was kind of like reserved into myself just because of like judgment and like pre-notions that I never really like told anybody or like discussed with anyone, so that I could get like the actual point of view. And so it was an experience to say the least, because basically what kind of ended up happening that night was like my hands, I basically had to like hold my hands up in the air like this for maybe like around 23 minutes, and like basically in a sense like be interrogated for like all the things that I did, and the way that I was treating people, the way that I was treating my mom and grandma at the time, and just like a lot of things that like I didn't think that anyone was really aware of, or I guess him in a sense, because of like, but then it's something that you also so I remember like he sort of like having like a list of all the things that I wanted to accomplish when I did come back to New York, sort of from that whole experience and from how I was there. And so I guess he's in a sense like one of those people where I guess he's a bit unconventional when it comes to like certain things and certain tactics or because of the way that he was raised. I feel like also if I didn't go through that experience, I wouldn't be the person that I am now in a sense. So I feel like even though in a sense like it did kind of, and I told him that too, like the experience did kind of traumatize me in a sense, just of looking at him as a person differently, but also like just North Carolina in general. I never want to go back there, and I don't think that I will be going back for a very long time. He keeps trying to convince me to come there for the summer, but I don't know. I felt that experience definitely. I was like, I think I could hold off on that for a sec. But I will say that me making that list of things that I wanted to do when I came back to New York, going through that experience did help me like sort of like put the ball into action, if that makes sense. So when it came to like getting a therapist, getting a job that was actually like doing the job that was actually in my field and like looking at it from a different perspective. When it came to like applying to certain things, when it came to reflecting better on the friendships that I have around me when it came to life, when it came to like me trying to move out and stuff like that. So I feel like when I did make that list of all the things that I wanted to do when I came back to New York and trying to work on like even like a better relationship with my mom and stuff, like that is sort of what you guys were fighting for. And so I remember like one of the girls that I had met there, she had actually referred me to a therapist, and I remember that I had like a consultation with her over the phone when I came back to New York, but I remember she said that she could only operate in North Carolina, and so she wouldn't be able to like be my therapist in New York, even like through Zoom or something, like her license wasn't like that. But she did recommend me to a website where I could find a therapist that was in my area and also took my insurance, and it really did allow me to think, it really did allow me to like do my research when it came to like what exactly I was looking for in a therapist, and making sure that I found someone that actually looks like me and that I felt like could relate to me and my experience, and I didn't get any judgment. I would always just like get like a different perspective of what was going on in my life. And so I did my research, I ended up finding someone, and I remember like my first phone call just like being so nervous and like not knowing what to say because, you know, in a sense you are sort of like telling a stranger like your whole life story for the first time, and then you don't even like really know where to start when it comes to certain things like that. And like just exactly what is it that you feel like you need help for, because there are things that like you've experienced for decades and almost your whole life, but you never really knew like what words to put towards them, or you never really knew exactly how you felt about something because it was like bottled up inside of you for so long. You never really had time to process it. And so we had a very, regular first full conversation about like what exactly I was looking for her to treat and like what my experience had been with like thoughts about therapy and stuff like that, and growing up in the Caribbean family that I had and their thoughts on it, and like how I don't, necessarily like expect like a miracle overnight, but I am willing to put in the work and, the homework and like dedication and stuff like that. And we talked about like therapy and stuff like that, and how often is it exactly that you meet up with clients and stuff, because I didn't want to think about therapy as like a chore or like an extra assignment for me. I wanted to actually like learn to enjoy it and feel like I really connected with this person, and I look forward to like thinking about all the stuff that I had went through throughout the month at that time, and like really writing it down and like dissecting through things with her versus like kind of like trauma dumping on my friends the way that I used to. And so I've been with her for, I can say, maybe like about a year or two now, and I would say that it's very different from the therapy, the quote unquote therapy that I used to have before. I think I had met her on like Facebook, and she was like, I would say she was more of like a spiritual therapist, in the sense that like she would just ask you to do readings herself and how she could relate and stuff like that. And I felt like the time like just really flew by. And I really wish that I was like more consistent with her when it came to payment at that time, because I feel like that's kind of like, I don't know, sometimes I kind of wonder if like because I wasn't paying her as much as I used to, that's what made her like kind of like distance herself away from me, and now I can't even like find her on Facebook anymore. But it is what it is. Some people are just meant to like serve a chapter in your life, and that's about it, and all you can do is like sort of like wish them the best. But I definitely do say that she inspired me to like find like a real therapist in a sense of what I should look for. And so I would say the one that I'm with now, we meet like once every like maybe 2-3 weeks. And even that was hard to do because I was always like going through like technical difficulties, or like my phone would break, and so I had to like cancel appointments, or like I was on vacation, and so we weren't able to like actually connect. So I really thank her for like the patience she had like throughout like me first becoming her client, because not many people would have like had the patience for that. And so I always thank her for that. And so I feel like even though she is my therapist, she also like has kept it real with me, which I always do appreciate. And I talked to her about a lot of different things that, you know, I wanted to talk about in this video when it comes to like being a paraprofessional, which I actually will talk about in another video, and like what that experience is like. I wanted to like make that a separate video, like how did I become a paraprofessional, like how did I end up working in that field, like how was that battle between me and like trying to be in a corporate environment for the first time while trying to like understand like 2 different kids, and how my spirituality played into that. So I'll do like a separate video on that on the channel one day. But she has helped me like really learn to like, her and like my mentor Saki, the one that I went to visit in North Carolina, I feel like they have really grounded me when it comes to learning how to be in a corporate environment for the first time. We've worked in fast food for almost a decade, and just learning to like think before you speak, learning that like you don't necessarily have to be best friends with your coworkers and the people that you work with. Like you can be cordial, and you have to like learn to work together. And sometimes it's not always the job that's the problem. Sometimes it's you that's the problem, you know, and that's when you have to learn to take accountability on yourself, because you can't make up rules in a job, because that only will make up different problems. And so I've learned how to sort of adapt to that and not feel like I'm constantly being watched, or like I'm constantly being harassed or bullied, me specifically. I'm learning how to like manage my emotions when it comes to the job, and like not feeling overwhelmed all the time, so that I can be learn to better be able to take care of my student, because you have to remember that they kind of like, kids are really anyone, they kind of feed off your energy. And so I feel like therapy and just my mentor and just like really getting back into meditation, that is what really helped me to like be able to get through this job as long as I can, and for as long as I need to, until I do complete my master's and I can transition from here into a real social worker job. And so it took a lot of navigating to get through, but now, you know, it's a lot easier for me to get through the day. I would say it's a lot easier for me to get through the day, and at the end of the day, I know that I am a good employee, and I do what I need to do, and I just try and ask questions. I try and just be like a lot more observant when it comes to certain things, and just learn to have judgment and follow my intuition, and never just assume anything, just ask questions. And so even when it comes to like asking questions, it's good to ask questions when you really don't know what's going on, but also like it's good to ask questions, ask yourself questions when it comes to like the people that you have around you and your circle, and like the intentions that you're trying to put towards people, and what exactly do you want your friendship circle to look like? Do you feel like a friendship is a friendship because you guys are equally putting in effort towards each other, or is it just a friendship where you are putting in most of the energy and the other person isn't really reciprocating, or you kind of feel like the person has like a flaky personality, or you feel like you are constantly forcing yourself to be in someone's lives, but the energy isn't really reciprocated. And so I remember when, and I think I spoke about this in a previous video, when I was like trying to get people together for my birthday and how that situation ended up playing out. While it was disappointing, I don't think that it happened in vain, and I think I really learned throughout that whole situation who like my real friends were and who were the people that, you know, were actually there for me through the ups and the downs and through like the celebrations of my life, and who was really there for me just for fun or because I was the one that was uplifting me for the friendship, and to them I was sort of like an afterthought. And so I feel like that's important for you to do like reflections once every couple of years, just to like kind of see where you are in life and who do you have around you. And while it was disappointing, I kind of learned that it's okay for you to let people go and let certain chapters go, especially if you feel like your cup is being filled. You know, I always tell people that you should feel like you are nurtured in your friendships and you are safe and you are understood and you are heard, and people don't just do certain things and then it's like you're supposed to just forgive and forget about it because you guys are friends. I feel like that's very toxic and manipulative, and it's hard to really say, but I just feel like friendship should be a lot healthier than that. Is this the point of what I'm making? And I just use like different examples that I have been through throughout even my own life. Everything I tell you guys is because this happened to me before, or like I can definitely and so old friends doing in different situations or doing certain things to people, you kind of, I feel like the universe kind of helped me make room for new people in my life, and that's how I found out about the Black friendship that I was telling you guys about, and how it's connected me to like a lot of different people I never thought that I would meet. You know, people who have really become my sisters and people who have really become my tribe, and I truly do appreciate them in my life and the way that they felt to motivate me, the way that they understood me, the way that we've had patience towards me, the way that, you know, there's consistency between us, and I really am grateful for them and how they've impacted my life and how I've impacted theirs, and how I always do try to be there for them even through the ups and the downs. And it really could have been me in a sense that I never really used to even have friends like that when growing up, at least any friends. So all of this is kind of new to me, but I kind of just take it each and every day. I learn to be a better person. I learn to be more open and honest. People can be open and honest with me, and I really do look forward to like the friendships that I have in here and where they go and where future friendships will go, but also like following my intuition a lot more when it comes to those people, and not just having a lot of people around me for the sake of having people around me, but for people that actually do connect with me, and I feel like we are a tribe that, you know, is almost like a second family to each other in a sense. And they're friends that, you know, understand the things that I'm trying to accomplish in my life, and they always motivate me, and I motivate them. And they have a very understanding when it comes to me applying for my master's program and me trying to apply to be a social worker, even though it is very tiring going through all these different documents and applications and typing up all these different things and trying to get transcripts and just everything else that comes with just the whole education process. And sometimes you do wonder if it's all worth it. And it's a lengthy process, but I know that it's for something that I genuinely want to do with my life. This is something that I've always been doing, but now I get to actually do it as a career and as my life path. And I'm looking forward to what comes of it. I'm definitely looking forward to what comes of it. So that's what I've been working on actually, like just doing applications and trying to get letters of recommendation, trying to get transcripts, and kind of just like sort of finally wrapping up the whole process so that I can just focus and just relaxing and like just allowing the letters to come in so that I can finally start going back to school to be a social worker. And you know, while all this is still happening, I still do desire like friends and family around me, because I still feel like it should all be about balance in a sense. It should always be about balance. And and how that process was. I feel like a lot definitely did change after I went to his after I went to his birthday party, and I was kind of like, oh, you're one of his only kids that ended up showing up out of like probably like the 10, 11 that he had. I think that he finally saw that, like, even though that you weren't necessarily there for me throughout my life, I still do have love for you. I still do have respect for you. I'm kind of forced to by my mom, But it's like, regardless, I always do have respect and love for you. While I was in my present, I feel like I turned out to be an okay kid. And so even that, just allowing him back into my life and trying to be used to the presence of my life is always an interesting process. But as far as what happens now and what I hope for in the future, it's just sort of like taking it one day at a time, not trying to burn myself out, but still focusing on what I need to do and being very careful and selective about what I do, and then the energy that I have around me, an energy that I also put out towards other people. And I'm very excited for where this YouTube channel will go with, like, learning how to edit better and just coming up with different content, different videos, just because so much has happened over the years. And just coming out with more vlogs, different content, different ideas, going to different events, and really just talking to you guys about the different things that I go through in my life that I feel like I can't tell other people. So I appreciate you guys throughout the journey. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for a lot of amazing summer adventures to happen. Until next time.